going to be watching?
Pick TV.
There you go. Hey everybody, David Evans here. Thank you for watching the Pick TV Network special presentation. This is the After Talk show, folks. We want to welcome everybody who's going to be watching with us, especially our audience on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Pick TV Network Channel 1000. Now all of our guests, you can break in live with us and you can chat in. Yep, we're waiting for your chats. So I'm so happy today. After Talk is just straight up talk. We're going to talk about our last show. We have a special guest on with us today, Brother Tim from Chicago, and my co-host partner, my co-host Brother O, is on today. Let's get right into it. Man, we had a fantastic show. Was amazing, man. The Prison Freedom Show everybody's talking about. Before we do that, let me just welcome our audience, folks. I always want to say thank you to our audience from YouTube. Interpreters are in Brazil, France, Colombia, Mexico, Panama, Paris, Peru, Argentina, Egypt, Canada, Daniel is there, Ireland, West Africa, the Queen is there, United Kingdom, Australia, Teresa's there, Germany, Dennis, and the United States, means you. Everybody's watching right now, Pick TV Network. We're on popping and rocking through YouTube, through Facebook, through Twitter, through Instagram, through Twitch, all social media platforms, and our television audience with interpreters. Interpreters are there through Roku, and this is big. It's After Talk time, brothers. Now, man, Tim is in here with us, Brother O. Man, this brother did a wonderful job. First time coming on Pick TV Network. Our topic was so great. Brother O, talk about why you had these brothers and sisters on this time.
Well, because I felt like their work is something that is very commendable. They need to be recognized for the hard work that they've been doing in the community and for the incarcerated and formerly incarcerated. What we have here in Illinois, in Chicago, at Northeastern Illinois University is definitely special. The work that they're doing to help incarcerated people attain an education, a bachelor's degree, and those that come home who are returning citizens, be able to leap beyond those hurdles and obstacles that we know as social disabilities. So they've definitely been a wonderful support team for me and other formerly incarcerated men that I know. A couple guys that I was incarcerated with behind the wall. They've gotten out. Some of them have attained their degrees already, and the importance of it. For me, while I was incarcerated, I was trying to get a creative arts program at a facility I was in, and it was very difficult for me to obtain that. And around the time that I began doing that, I had come across some information about PNAP and the University Without Walls, but I wasn't at an institution where I was able to participate. But I learned about it, and it was something that I wished was implemented where I was residing. And so when I got out, I had the pleasure of meeting people who directed me towards Northeastern Illinois University and their program, the University Without Walls. And since then, I've been, on running, and I'm just very grateful to be part of it. And I'm thankful and very appreciative for the help that they've given me. So that's why I wanted to have Professor Barnett. I wanted to have Brock on here, who's been helping me, directing me, because there were certain things that I had difficulty with, and she's assisted me with that. And then also, I want to talk about Miss Celia Cologne, the work that she's done, because women are often overlooked, especially when it comes to the prison system and them coming out. Because normally when we think of people who are incarcerated, we think of men, because that's normally what we see. But there are a lot of women who are incarcerated, and the numbers have increased. So the work that she's been doing, telling her story, the experience that she had while she was incarcerated, and then coming home and seeing the lack of resources, and not just thinking about herself, but thinking about the rest of the women that she had left behind, who would have to face that plight to go and to start their organization, and then to provide resources for them is very commendable. So I definitely had to have her on this show, the Prison Freedom Show, because these are the people that need to be acknowledged and celebrated for their work.
That's amazing, man. When I see you and I hear Tim on today, and I want Tim to come in too. This is the After Talk Show, folks. PIC TV Network. Want to say thank you, everybody, want tuning in, and you can chat in. You can send your chats in from anywhere around the world. Thank you, chatting in. Where you are, you have a question. These brothers have helped so many people. When we talked about the Prison Freedom Channel, and I want to bring Tim in and talk a little bit. Tim, being on for the first time, I heard your presentation. It was amazing, man. You talked about being a Caucasian and African American and where you grew up. And now you see blood is red. We all are hurting, man. The George Floyd situation not only touched Washington, D.C., but it touched Chicago and it touched other folks all over the world. When we see you partnershiping with us and we partnershiping with you to make things better, to make the world a better place, especially for our brothers and sisters who coming out of the prison system. How does that make you feel, Tim? Unmute your mic. You're getting like me, Tim. You're getting like me, man.
Yeah. Sorry about that. It is good, and it's you're making me think about a lot of different things. In the sense that, one thing I'm really interested in, I've been in the academic world for 30 years, since I started graduate school at Ohio State many, many years ago. And, I'm really, I guess one of the things that's given me the most pleasure or satisfaction in life has been continuing to learn. And the last 10 years or so have been some of the most important learning years of my life. Working with, people like Orion, working with people at Stateville Prison. And I think about this as kind of probably the ultimate, in many ways, educational experience for me. I gave a talk at Stateville Prison a couple of years ago, just talking about how, we're kind of taught, especially in the white world, don't go to the prisons, don't go here, don't listen to these people, don't think about this, don't read these things. And we're seeing it right now with all the books being banned around police brutality, all the books being banned around so many issues related to race and racial division, among other things. And it's, you have to go outside of where you're raised to learn, and you have to go outside of your comfort zones. And I guess in part, what's been so surprising is that, a lot of times I'm more comfortable at Stateville than I am in any other place, because the people there are so committed to thinking, to learning, to growing, to evolving. And people ask me, is it a scary place? And, honestly, the scariest people there are the guards and the administrators. And they're the ones who really give us the most difficulty and problems. And so, I appreciate the opportunity. It's an opportunity for me. It's not about, missionary work where I'm trying to make people better so much as I really want to work with people who I think are the best allies to create something better in this world. And I've learned, like I said, so much, and appreciated the opportunities that I've had through Stateville, but also through working out here in non-traditional degree programs at Northeastern Illinois University with Orion, with people like Eric Blackman, Colette Payne, Willette Benford. We've had 2 students in our non-traditional degree programs who are just named George Soros Social Justice Fellows, which are major international fellowships, comes with large financial awards and a lot of recognition, and they're being given an opportunity to create some major projects, and that's Kilroy Watkins and Willette Benford. They were just recently named Soros Fellows, and we're just super proud of them, but of all of our learning fellows here at NEIU and the people who are doing amazing work like Orion and others.
Yeah, man. I'm excited. When I see you guys come on and add value. I'm from Washington, D.C. You guys in Chicago, Illinois, and we all are part of making the community better, making people better. And that's why I'm so happy about the PIC TV network, our network on Roku with 60 channels. This show, folks, this the after talk show. We just had episode 1 and 2. Now we have the speakers after talk show. Brother Ryan, man, you love bringing people together to do positive things, man. And I want to thank you so much for doing this on our television network. You're really going to be the face of this network. Tell everybody who don't know about your time that you served behind bars and what you're doing since you're free.
Okay, so my name is Ryan Meadows. I'm a slam performance artist and author. I'm a member of NAFI, which is the National Alliance for the Empowerment of the Formerly Incarcerated, which was founded by my mentor and academic advisor at Northeastern Illinois University, Professor Bennett Lee, which was on the first episode of the Prison Freedom talk show. And I'm a member of PNAP, which is the Prison and Neighborhoods Arts and Education Project out of Northeastern Illinois University, where Professor Barnett serves as the interim director of the non-traditional degree program. And I'm also a member of the Galaxy of Poets, and you can find them on Instagram. And so I host a live there for them, as well as I host a live for PNAP. I served 24 years in the Illinois Department of Corrections. I went in as an adolescent. I was like, 18 years old when the crime that I was convicted of occurred. I was 19 when I actually was apprehended by the authorities. Initially, I was supposed to serve 45 years at 100%, but then there were certain things going on with the laws, found it unconstitutional, and then shortly after I had gone to prison, my sentence was changed. But being on this show is just to be able to empower others who have gone through what I've gone through. Is just something that has always been, my desire. And so that was something that I wanted to do while I was incarcerated. I learned, and I ended up learning about this term later, and they call it the imprisoned Black radical tradition. And it's like almost like a lineage, a genealogy, and going back to people like Malcolm X, other people, Etheridge Knight, who was also a poet, who wrote while he was incarcerated. People such as Nathan McCall, who ended up writing a book entitled Makes Me Want to Holler, but had experienced prison. Even, and this is one of my earliest influences, was a man named Claude Brown, who wrote a book entitled Man Child in the Promised Land, probably one of the first books that I really loved. And he had experience going through juvenile detention centers at a very young age until he decided to change his life and became a writer. I'm reading about his story. Mumia Abu Jamal, who had actually gotten a show with the National Public Radio while he was incarcerated until people protested and had gotten him to stop doing that. But people like that, Petey Green, who is kind of like involved in journalism while he was locked up, and then ended up getting out and becoming, a big time broadcaster on television. But that's part of the imprisoned Black radical tradition that I find myself being part of right now. And I began as a writer in there, writing about my own experiences. And then I went on to try to carry on the work of the great Dr. Margaret Burroughs, who's the founder of the DuSable Museum right here in Chicago, who taught creative writing at Stateville and at Cook County Jail. So these are the people that I'm following. These are the people that I look up to, and it's just been, a privilege of mine to continue to be part of the imprisoned Black radical tradition that those people were a part of, or in the case of a person like Dr. Margaret Burroughs, and now even Professor Barnett, is contributing to those who are members of the imprisoned Black radical tradition.
I'm excited, man. When I hear you guys talking, I'm like E.F. Hutton. I'm just listening, to be with you guys. Amazing. Folks, you're watching the PIC TV Network, brand new show on PIC TV Network, Channel 1000, beaming from Washington, D.C. on all streaming platforms. And also, you can watch us on Facebook. You can chat in. YouTube, you can chat in. The PIC TV Network. Twitter, you can chat in. Twitch, you can also chat in. Everybody watching us right now, this is a brand new show, and we want you to be a part of what we're doing on the PIC TV Network. Now, this is the after show, which means we cut down and cool out, and we want you to chat in and talk with us. I want to go back to Tim for a minute, Brother O. Hearing Tim's, Tim, when you in Chicago, man, do you feel just safe as everybody else, man? How do you feel when you in your city, Chicago?
It's funny you ask. When I moved here in 1997, and I was in graduate school in Ohio, at Ohio State. I'd grown up in Connecticut and sort of wanted to move and get away. So went to Columbus, which was a great city, relatively small city. Was excited when I got a job here in Chicago. But maybe, I don't know, a month before I moved here, my mother happened to see some shootings on TV. And she's like, and I forget her exact words, but everyone's shooting each other in Chicago. You sure you want to live there? And, and I knew better. I mean, obviously, but there's always been this history or this narrative around Chicago as this place that's, whether it's Al Capone or whether it's gangs or whatever it may be, about violence everywhere. And as, Celia mentioned early on, there are a few neighborhoods in this city that struggle mightily with all kinds of violence and poverty and awful schools and lack of opportunity and all those things that kind of go together. But really, in so many parts of the city, I've never felt unsafe. I've never felt worried, honestly. And of course, now that since I've been working for a while now in state film, I hear stories from people who've grown up in the South Side and the West Side and who have experienced violence, people who were chased by gangs when they were 5, and sort of, being threatened and where are they going to go, which direction, which gang were they going to join. And knowing that sort of here I live a mile away and this is happening right over here to little kids, and to think, what is happening here that I'm allowed to feel so safe where so many others are not. And so, it is, there's even when I've met people from out of the country who are like, oh my God, Chicago, it seems like it's all gangsters all the time. And so there is this national story about Chicago, but it depends on who you are. Do you have money? Are you white? And by money, I mean even just, basic. Can you get by? Can you live in neighborhoods where there isn't the violence, where there isn't the fear and the pain and the difficulty? And most people can, but there are so many people who cannot. And it's really, it's really a tragedy that we can't figure out ways of doing better.
It's kind of like that in DC. I grew up in the 80s. Back in 1980s, DC was going through a lot of transitions. We had the Marion Barry was in. I got my first summer job through him. I will never forget him. It was the drug capital of the United States.
Yep.
There was a lot of my friends who died, a lot of crime. It was a whole bunch of things going on back in the 80s in DC, and things have changed. Things have changed a lot. You know, gentrification is here now, and people are getting opportunities that didn't have opportunities back at that time. A lot of times I'm looking at DC now and seeing that we have so much diversity now. It's people from all over the world coming together and supporting each other more and more, but we can't forget about the ones who still struggling. I was a former teacher at Marriott Charlotte High School, and there were so many kids that I had to really pray for before I went in those classrooms, because it was tough, guys. It was not easy going into a classroom teaching kids in 2007 before I worked at HUD. And it's the kids today, you know, they're the don't judge me generation. You know, they're the ones who want to just do it their way, you know, and thinking nothing can stop them. What do you say, Brother O, to the young version of you, man? To the 20, let's go to the young version of you when you was 16 years old. What would you say to your 16-year-old self today, back in time?
Oh, you know, it's kind of funny because I remember when I was like 15, 16 years old, and we had members or ex-members, guys who had been affiliated with the gang I was in, coming to talk to me, you know, doing outreach work and things like that. And now today I'm like in that position, same position as those guys who were trying to speak to me and who were trying to mediate and be, you know, give me advice. What would I say to myself? Time. Never take time for granted. Never take opportunities for granted. That's the I think the most important thing is to never take those things for granted, because things can always be taken away from you and things can change within an instant. So never take those things for granted, but take advantage of the opportunity that are presented to you to the utmost, the most that you possibly can. That's what I would say.
Amazing. You know, when I think about the young version of me back in the 80s, I would say do everything you can to educate yourself, because education is the process of learning. Use all your 20s to educate. Use your 30s to get your return on your investment. In your 40s, hopefully you'll retire. You know, one day technology is going to come in and somebody's going to invent a car that doesn't have an engine, and they're going to come along and invent a car that don't need brakes, shoes, and you know, Tesla's going to come, and then the internet is going to come, and our phones are going to be mini computers, and you can be able to have an app. You know, back in 81, if somebody would have told me everything that we have today, I would have believed them. And it would have gave me a chance to prepare. It would have gave me a chance to put myself in a position, Tim, to stock up on toilet paper. You know, get a mask, make some stock investments. You know, I would have been better off had I really listened to somebody who had wisdom back in my young days, who knew the ropes, who knew what was coming in the future. Because what we're dealing with today, Tim, you want to elaborate this, especially gentrification. These things were planned. These things just didn't happen overnight. There's some good, there's some bad, but a lot of things in DC, and I can speak from my city, streets who was invested with drugs and stuff, they're not as bad as it was back in our day. Unfortunately, a lot of African Americans or other folk didn't go to those meetings. I don't know, we didn't know about the meetings, but this was planned 20 years in advance. This is not something that just happened 2 weeks ago. This was real strategically planned. When you come to DC and you go to the Nat Stadium to see the basketball or baseball game, that area was called Buzzard Point, where a lot of African Americans met. Even my parents came back in the 30s and 40s from down south, and that's where a lot of African Americans migrated. Today, Tim, that's one of the highest places in the world. Southwest Washington, D.C., you have to have $1 million to be broke to live there. $1 million to be broke. And it's steady building. So is it the same way with gentrification and urban things coming up down there in Chicago? Tim, unmute your mic.
I mean, I'm not an expert, but absolutely. And we have things called TIFs that are supposed to potentially help communities, but ultimately it's like extra taxing that goes towards gentrification. And, as you're talking, all I can think of is, it's great to see a place that used to be rougher in better shape. But then you have to ask the question, are the people who are struggling just moved out? Are they just somewhere else, now in a different part of Chicago or in the suburbs or in Baltimore? And if that's the case, then, there's no victory here. There's got to be a way in which we can figure out how to kind of lift all boats. And you're absolutely right. I mean, the history of this country can be written in so many ways in regards to the infrastructure, the highways, the planned communities that were, really built in order to create segregation, to create wealth for some, and to disenfranchise others. And, I can't help but think too. I've been to the Nat Stadium. My nephew and his family lived in Washington for a while. They live now in Maryland, and I took my son. We saw the Cubs play down there about 5 years ago. It was great, and I didn't know that history. But I mean, you go there and you think this is kind of where everyone wants to be. It's obviously there's money and there's fun and there's all kinds of stuff to be had. But most places like that, and I can point to 5 neighborhoods in Chicago that are super well off, super white, super, that's where kind of things are happening. 30 years ago, that's not where they were. And so, there's this trend of people who can create things, who basically have the money to say, we're going to buy up all this stuff, kick whoever is in there out, make another fortune, and then move on to the next neighborhood. And it seems like an endless cycle that somehow we've got to break. I mean, there's got to be a way, like I said, to kind of lift more boats than just a few.
Definitely. And I was trying to find it, man. There's a book in here, but I can't find it right now. And it's entitled Dysfunction by Design, And I think the author, I don't want to say the wrong name, but I think the name is William Green. But I know it's called Dysfunction by Design. And so that's when, as the question was being asked and you were answering it, it came to mind. I was trying to find it. And it's crazy because I just saw it like maybe 2 days ago. But yeah, as you were saying, that somebody definitely made these plans, and we're starting to see that the shift, moving people who were once in a certain location, moving them outwards to places where they don't have immediate access to the resources, places where they could be able to thrive. And it's definitely a shame that this has occurred. And then you see it not just happening in one particular place, but happening in several places, and it's aimed and directed at a certain group or certain groups of people.
Yeah, one of the things I learned about moving to Chicago was about, and Orion, maybe you can help me here, but I think it's 55, Highway 55, that was kind of built specifically to separate the north from the south side and to keep segregation in place. And, and there have been books written in the last 20, 30, 40 years, plenty of them, about the building of highways, the building of roads, the building of specific kinds of, like I said, infrastructure that in many ways kind of, facilitates transportation and does some good stuff, but was also very much designed to keep people apart and to keep some people in poverty and to keep the system as it's been. And, we still can't break out of that.
There's like an old theory when I was growing up, when I was younger, that appeared on television, and Oprah Winfrey was a part of it, called The Women of Brewster's Place. And it kind of like, it was depicting that because they had that wall, and that wall was used to separate one community from the other. And that was like the theme was the wall. And within that wall where you had this Black community, there were all these things that were going on that were transpiring. And towards the end, they began to, come together after they had experienced tragedies to break that wall. But that's what that wall symbolized, exactly what you're talking about. And what has happening once again is the building of the wall, not a literal wall, but the obstacles that are presented now by you removing one group, placing the other group in there, and then sending out that group that was once there and placing them in another environment. The wall is being built once again.
Then maybe we have to go to commercial, but it just reminds me of prison too. It's all about the walls and separation and keeping this group here and this group here and keeping some people out of control.
Yeah, folks, when we go to this commercial break, we're going to come back. We're going to talk a little bit more. You're watching the PIC TV Network special presentation, brand new show, the Prison Freedom After Talk Show. And we're so happy that Tim has joined us from Chicago, along with Brother O, Brother Meadows. He is my co-host for the show. Now, folks, don't touch that dial. You still can tweet in, you still can chat in, and you can watch the replay, because we're going to play this over again on the PIC TV Network Prison Freedom Channel. My name is David Evans, and we're going to come right back at this commercial. We're going to talk a little bit more before we close out this segment. So don't go far, folks. PIC TV Network is right on your TV right now.
And your goals to help you reach your family's dreams of financial wealth and independence. We feel everyone should be able to live the life they want to live, regardless of the amount of money you make. Protect your financial future with financial knowledge and education. Call TLC Financial at 757-675-2427 and start living the life you want right now.
Hey, folks, we're back on once again, PIC TV Network special presentation, folks. We're here today on this broadcast. This is the After Talk show on the PIC TV Network. And I'm so happy for all of you who are watching. Now, what we want you to do, we need everybody to support this show. The way you support the show is all you have to do is go to that QR code, get your phone, and put your phone or your laptop, put it right over that QR code, boom, put it on photo and put it over that QR code, and that way you can watch us on the go. You can click and play Pick TV Network on the go. Wherever you go, we can go with you. And our audience in Brazil, France, Colombia, Mexico, Panama, Paris, Peru, Argentina, Egypt, Canada, Ireland, West Africa, United Kingdom, Australia, Germany, everybody who's watching right through this opportunity, you can do it right here on your phone by just scanning that QR code. You see all the information about Pick TV Network. And also, everybody can give to support this program. This is a listener-supported program, a listener-supported show, and we need your support. Now, when you're talking about prison freedom, this is the Speakers After Talk show. We already did episode 1 and 2. Now we're talking to our good brother, Tim, and my co-host, Brother Meadows. Before we close the show, Brother Meadows and Tim, you know, when I think about you guys and I see where we are today, we have a young generation. I believe there's twins. I believe there's the millennials, and then we have the tech generation. We have a tech generation that technology is raising our kids, programming our kids every day through these apps. A lot of people don't even know the number one app in the whole world that young people are on. It's not Twitter. It's not YouTube. It's not LinkedIn. It's not the apps that you think that they're on. You know, Instagram. No, it's not there. It is called LiveMe, LIVEME. 79 million young people. Check it right. Go to Google. 79 million young people are on LiveMe. How can we reach them? How can we reach them, Tim? It's a brand new. I don't know if you have grandkids, you know, kids real younger. How do we reach this new generation? Unmute your mic.
Yeah, it's a big question. I've got a 17-year-old, almost 18, single dad. And, you know, I mean, I guess I'm not as concerned about technology necessarily, but I do feel like all of us in every generation have to be able to use it successfully and usefully and to communicate. I mean, I like to look at the positive sides of technology, even though I know that there are absolutely not so positive sides as well. I mean, they open up, you know, apps and communication, social media, all kinds of things, open up possibilities for connecting with people that, you know, you talked about like the 80s. I graduated high school in 82. If someone had told me this was going to happen today, I wouldn't have believed them. And I don't think anyone back then could have predicted really where we are and all major changes we've gone through. I mean, I think we have to figure out ways to adapt. I think we are very separate because we use technology differently. I think, you know, it moves so quickly, I can't keep up, but even 15-year-olds can't keep up really because things are moving so quickly. But I think more than anything, we have to find ways to be flexible, to adapt, to communicate in human ways, whether it's over Facebook or in person, to connect, to deal with real like feelings and emotions and ideas. You know, I think a lot of the principles that applied before still apply, but it definitely is a complicated time. There's no question. And we're often feel like I think we're in kind of different worlds by generation and other things as well. David, you might be muted.
Oh, thank you. I'm just so caught up with you guys. Yeah, so, you know, I would take my kids down to McDonald's and take my kids down to the homeless shelter and teach them about other people who are less fortunate than us and show them about giving, you know, and make sure that they understand that, you know, giving is a part of helping other people in the community and those who may be less fortunate than them. They can pick them up. They can do something positive. And now my sons are older. They go down there and help people, still have a love and passion for people who are homeless. My son in California, Stephen Evans out there with J-Lo, Post Malone, Rocky. My son is out there with big people doing things on Sony Records. And during holidays, he calls me and say, Dad, I'm under the bridge. I say, under the bridge? He said, yeah, I'm under the bridge giving away food and giving to the homeless my clothes. So I think planting little seeds like that while they're young to let them know that there's somebody out there less fortunate than you. But if you're blessed to be a blessing and you can give to help somebody else who can't give you back, who cannot pay you back in return, I think that's a big lesson that we can do. We got to start while they're young. Brother O, you want to add to that?
Yeah, definitely. For me, one of the ways I think that you can reach people, the youth, using technology is like through the arts. That just seems like something that's a source of information for them, through the arts. And I know, and this from an example that I had a teacher, and she actually used a rap lyrics to teach us about the countries in the continent of Africa. And it stuck with me. And she used something that, hip hop, rap, that was something that we gravitated towards to teach us. And so we need to learn how to use the things that they are attracted to as tools to teach them. And because this is what appeals to them, instead of looking at it as just something that, is disdained, we have to see how, okay, this is what attracts them. This is what they gravitate towards. So let's figure out a way to use the things that are captivating them, that are getting their attention, as instruments of learning and higher education.
Yeah, we have to do that, and it's up to us who've been on the planet longer than others to give back. Being a former teacher in high school, especially middle school, the kids are looking for love. They're looking for somebody that can reach them and not beat them down and not just push them down, but they want to see a message. They don't want to just hear a message. And I still love those kids. I still love those kids because they are our future, good, bad, or ugly. They're still our future. So Tim, I'm praying for your family, man, your kids, Brother O, for your family and kids, and for everybody's watching, don't ever give up on them, because that's the worst thing you could ever do. And on this Prison Freedom show on the PIC TV network, Brother Tim, tell us what this means to you, man. You coming on, you've been on our first segment, now you're in the second segment. What does this show mean to you?
Well, I think we don't have these conversations enough, and anywhere practically about, think about ideas like prison abolition, which has come up, a few times tonight. And it was a relatively new concept to me, I don't know, 5, 7, 8 years ago. And this needs to be something that gets talked about a lot, and gets talked about at dinner tables, gets talked about on social media, that we don't have to stick with the systems we have, that mass incarceration has grown huge and there's a lot of power there. But we can imagine other possibilities. And that's why I was listening to you, Orion, and thinking about the whole, thinking about the next generation and the appeal of art and imagination and creativity and seeing ideas. And I do think that, that back to David, what you were saying too, like part of it starts with us kind of as individuals giving, right, to people who may not have as much. But also I want to take that next leap and think about the use of creativity and imagination and art to imagine a system where we don't have to give as much because people have their basic needs met. I work with a lot of people who are pretty anti-capitalist in a lot of ways, and I have a lot of questions about capitalism. But I can imagine where, let's say, everyone had their basic needs met, at least someplace to live, food, education that was decent. maybe then we compete after that for like the extra stuff. So, and I think there's something to be said for sometimes at least having that competitive model. But the way competition or the way capitalism works with us is just is kind of like person eat person, dog eat dog, and so many are just destined not to, not to make it, basically, because of that system. And I do think we can absolutely be more generous and charitable, but we can also change the system. It is within our power. Celia said earlier, we don't realize or recognize a lot of times how much power people have. And if nothing else, I've definitely learned that through the years. Not easy. In the last 5, 6, 7 years with Trump and others has really demonstrated that there's also a lot of people trying to keep progress from happening. But at the same time, change is possible and big change is possible. And it can happen and should happen.
And I like to say that, like, this Prison Freedom show, it correlates with what the University Without Walls is trying to accomplish. And for me, Prison Freedom show has given me a platform, but also provided a platform for others who have the same intentions. But also PNAPs in the University Without Walls with this non-traditional degree program, because you talk about systems and how sometimes systems, they obstruct us from being able to go outside and attain greater things. And so what the University Without Walls, what the Prison Freedom Show has done is provided a platform that isn't usually offered to talk about these type of things, but also the University Without Walls. It has allowed me to be able to use my experience to be able to attain a degree and then provide information and knowledge to others. Myself, my major is hip hop's urban aesthetics and culture, which is something that speaks to the youth now, as addressing the question that Dr. Evans had asked earlier, utilizing the things that our youth are already captivated by, that they're accustomed to, and using that as an instrument to be able to teach them and bring about change. And so that's why I chose that as my major, hip hop, urban aesthetics and culture, because this is the language and the culture of the youth. And this is the best way that I feel like I would be able to reach them and to help, raise their awareness. And so PNAP and the University Without Walls have allowed me to be able to do that.
Wow, this is big, folks. Those who listen to the broadcast today, watching the PIC TV network, Prison Freedom After Talk Show, our brand new show. And if you want to scan that QR code right above you, you can help support the network. You also can take us on the go right on your phone. Once you put us right there, you'll be on the go. Take us all around and don't miss an episode on the PIC TV network. As we close out today, Brother O, can you do a poem for us, man? Somebody might want to be encouraged by a poem.
Oh, definitely. So the poem that I want to say today resonates with what we've been talking about, and especially when we were talking about the wall. And this one is short, but it speaks volumes. And so this is entitled Analogy Part 1. The ghetto and prison. Prison and the ghetto. To some, prison is just like the ghetto. The residents are the inmates locked in psycho-socio-economic cells, bound by invisible shackles, doing time without being sentenced by a judge, captive to a world rife with violence, prostitution, ignorance, and drugs, continuously confined within the 6x9s of their incarcerated minds, marginalized between lines that the condition of their impoverishment circumscribe. The wall, the box, the pit, the hole. Prison is a material complex built for confinement of the flesh. The ghetto was concomitant with the imprisonment of the soul. The ghetto and prison. Prison and the ghetto. And so we need to break those walls.
I'm just like, everybody go look at the repeat of the show on PIC TV network. I want to thank Brother O for bringing Brother Tim in. We got the Chicago connection. DC. Brother, oh, you say you know a couple of people in DC you're gonna bring on too, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to get them on right now. A couple of people who have had their own experience with the prison industrial complex, and they've gotten out and they're doing positive things. So hopefully I can get to them and then we can bring them on, because I think that they have a lot to contribute.
Yeah, you know, folks, you're watching a brand new hit show on the PIC TV network, our Prison Freedom show. It's going to turn into a channel, but the show is on right now. We just did 2 episodes, and now we're doing the after talk show. Up close and personal, you guys can chat. You can look at the replay all over again. Tell your neighbor, tell your friend. PIC TV Network has new shows and programs that's on, that's going to educate, that's going to inform, that's going to inspire, that's going to bring you the best when it comes to entertainment. We have 60 channels on Roku right now. Go to that search bar and put in the PIC TV Network and see our shows, all free. Doesn't cost you anything. If you want to be on TV and not watch TV, it's a way you can do that too, because we want everybody to be on the PIC TV Network. I also want everybody to understand that we are growing, and we're growing super fast. All you have to do is call 215-609-5255. That's our Philadelphia manager named Celeste. She will get you on. I'm from Washington, D.C. Brother O is down from Chicago. We have people all over. Patty from New York. Celeste is waiting to hear from you and to be on PIC TV Network. Now, folks, I want to give a shout out to Clinton Laundry. Today, they added us to their screen where hundreds of people come in there and get their clothes washed. So I want to give a shout out to them for playing us every day. Even while we're doing this presentation, they can see us on the screen. Want to send a shout out to Wendy and everybody at the laundromat. Also those in the barber shops, nail salons, beauty parlors, bars, restaurants, clubs, churches. Everybody who's playing PIC TV Network all over, in every Airbnb we already on through Roku. Thank you for everybody supporting the PIC TV Network. We're getting ready to close out, brothers. Want to thank you for your time. Let's give everybody a virtual wave, and we'll see you guys next time on the PIC TV Network. God bless you, and keep on watching PIC TV.
The CDC is recommending that all adults receive the COVID booster vaccine. And additionally, we are also recommending our patients who are pregnant to also receive the COVID booster vaccines. And for me, it's super important, not only as a healthcare provider, but because I'm also pregnant and want to make sure that my pregnancy is as safe as possible.
Hey, everybody, you made it through the show once again on the Pick TV Network. Now, don't forget to watch the other shows coming up and also the repeats. Tell everybody that the Pick TV Network is on Channel 1000 live on the Pick TV Network. Roku, ROKU. Go to that search bar and put in the Pick TV Network. And then watch us on all social media platforms. The Pick TV Network YouTube, the Pick TV Network Facebook, the Pick TV Network Twitch, the Pick TV Network Twitter, the Pick TV Network everywhere. And we want you to stay tuned, watch our shows and programs, and it's all about you. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time on the Pick TV Network.